Good afternoon, and you are welcome to another exclusive interview powered by News.Band Television. Recently, we saw the National Assembly come out to amend some sections of the new electoral bill, and this affected the way political parties are being mandated to conduct their primary election. This will be our background for today's discussion as we look at the legality of the National Assembly bill compelling political parties to use direct primaries in electing their candidates. To discuss this with me, we have Chief Olisa Metuh. He is the former National Publicity Secretary for the People's Democratic Party. He's also a politician and a lawyer. Thank you so much, sir, for coming.
Thank you.
Now, tell us, what exactly is the direct primaries and how does this differ from the indirect primaries?
Okay, let me explain to you. Because you can get any lawyer to handle this topic about the legality of the bill that the National Assembly is proposing. But the most important thing is the practicability of it. I have been the longest serving National Executive Committee member of any party in Nigeria. So I'm well vexed. I have institutional memory. I can explain to you why this is important at this point. First, direct primaries is the primaries that the people, the members of the party will participate in, and they vote for the choice, whoever they want, they vote for their choice. The indirect is where you select a group of people who will now appear in a delegate system, in a convention, a congress. By delegate means they are delegated to represent the interest of the party members by nominating who they are. Of course, the indirect primaries, delegates are fewer because they've been delegated. People in the party, in the wards, in the local government have elected them to represent the interest of the party. While in direct primaries, they go directly to elect the members that they want, the people that are vying that they want. The political parties have kind of abused the objectives and the benefits of the indirect primaries. Because when there are fewer, it's easier to influence them by any means whatsoever, including offering them money or promises or other things, or intimidating them if you are in a position of authority. So when there are fewer, they can get manipulated and influenced by people in authority, by governors, by party members, by other people, legislators, or other people that have the means to influence them. But it is very difficult for you to influence party members. That is the wisdom in the proposal for direct primaries, so that the party members will directly elect. There's absolutely no way you can influence except by your manifesto or by your presentation to influence millions of people at the party, or thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, depending on whether you're running for governorship or you're running for presidency or National Assembly. That is the reason why people are pushing for direct primaries.
Okay, you just spoke about how practical it is to actually mandate political parties to use direct primaries. Is this law, can it be implemented?
Why? The law gives the National Assembly the powers to regulate the electoral process. That is called electoral bill. But I want you to understand, because I want to take this in two aspects. Everybody, when you put on television, newspapers, people talk about the legality of the bill. I want you to understand exactly what is happening in the political parties and why there is need for it. Then we can go to the legality or otherwise of what the process is all about. You see, right now, when you are running for governorship, for instance, you are going to have like 1,000 or something people to go and vote for you in a state congress. And if you have the means, if you're a governor, you can influence those 1,000 people. But if you have all the people that are registered in the state, absolutely, there could be up to 1 million, there could be up to 500,000. it is difficult for you to influence them or intimidate them. So people are yearning for direct primaries as the benefit of doing that. But we have seen it abused. We have seen the process of these direct primaries being abused. In one state, for instance, there is a talk about the direct primaries not being held. And the people that they sent there in the other political party, the APC, the people that are sent to conduct their political primaries made away with the documents and they didn't hold on ground. You have heard about it, witnessed it. So in order to make sure that such things do not exist, this bill is proposing that the INEC supervises those direct primaries. Because if you just institute that you are going to have direct primaries, the national chairman or national secretary or the national executive committee or national organizing secretary will just be in Abuja and send people down to the local government or down to the states or down to whatever constituency level that it is. And they'll come back and say, we have done it, and these are the results. But they didn't go to the ground, which is exactly what happens in some indirect primaries nomination process. So in order to stop that, this bill is seeking to give INEC powers to supervise the primary system of the congresses and the conventions of the party. So when it's held without INEC supervision, it is basically not tenable and it will not be accepted.
Okay, now does the National Assembly actually have the right to mandate what form of primaries political parties have to conduct in order to produce their candidates?
Yes, of course. Under the election, under the Constitution of Nigeria, the Senate has powers to review the Electoral Act. It is the Electoral Act that determines the processes of doing that. But do they have power to directly resolve the conduct of primaries in political parties? That is debatable. Some people will say yes, but if you look at the laws and the powers of INEC, you will find out that the INEC itself is empowered. Okay, let me explain to you. Under the 58th one, since we're going to legality right now, of the power of the National Assembly to make laws shall be exercised by the passage or the passing by both the Senate and the House of Representatives and the acceptance otherwise provided by the subsection assented to by the President. So what it means is that whatever they sign, whatever they propose, and whatever they pass, as long as it's accepted by the President, must be acceptable. Now, under subsection 2, it says a bill may originate in either the Senate or the House of Reps and shall not become law unless it has been passed, and except as otherwise provided by this section and section 59 of this Constitution, assented to in accordance with the provisions of this section. So what are the provisions of the section? It says that where a bill has been passed by the House in which it originated, it shall be sent to the other House and shall be presented to the President for assent when it has been passed by both Houses and agreement. So what it means is that once the electoral bill has been passed by the Senate and there is concurrently by the House of Reps and the Senate and the President assents to it, it means that that bill, that the procedure is being regulated by that bill. It affects the regulation of the political parties and the electoral process, which is why INEC is seeking to have powers to decide how the election itself will be held. Now, the legislative, under the Constitution, Section 4.1 says that the legislative powers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall be vested in the National Assembly of the Federation, which shall consist of the Senate and the House of Reps. 4.2 says that the National Assembly shall have power to make laws for the peace, order, and good government of Federation or any part thereof with respect to any matter included in the exclusive legislative list set out in Part 1 of the section. The power of the National Assembly under subsection 4.3 to make laws for the peace, order, and good government of the Federation with respect to any matter included in the exclusive list shall, save as otherwise provided to the exclusion, provided in this Constitution, be to the exclusion of the House of Assembly of the States. So the electoral bill does not need to be signed by the House of Assembly, accepted like change of constitution. When you're changing constitution, you need 2/3 of the state houses of assembly. But with this subsection 4.3 of the constitution, it means that the state houses of assembly do not have any say in this electoral law. So the powers actually dwell on the Senate and the House of Representatives, the National Assembly, to make laws that guide our electoral process. And this includes the conduct of primaries by political parties. So the political parties, except when they have something to hide, must conform to the laws as provided for in the Electoral Act passed by the National Assembly. Are you with me? The screen is blank.
Yes, I'm with you. Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
So how if the
Okay, I can't hear you, please.
All right. If your network is playing up, let's call a question from Amina.
Can you hear me first before you can I end up? Because INEC under section 153, they're empowered to do what, to conduct electoral process. And what the Senate is doing is to give effect to paragraph 15B of the part 1 of the 3rd schedule of the Constitution. And this power gives regulatory, like I said, of the operation of the political parties. So the Senate is completely in order in doing what they're doing.
Chief Metuh, let's be clear on this matter. So the Constitution empowers the Senate to make laws that regulate the activities of political parties in Nigeria.
No, that's not what I said. I said the Constitution gives powers to the Senate to have an electoral bill to effect to the National Assembly to make laws that pertain to the electoral bill. In doing the electoral bill can regulate the conduct of affairs of the political parties. So it's not the Senate directly that regulates the conduct of political parties. It's the electoral bill that regulates it, not the Senate itself.
So let's be clear.
And don't forget that this electoral bill can never come into law except it is accepted to by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So it is wrong to say it's the Senate.
Okay. So let's be clear. So the Senate is empowered to make laws, which laws can regulate the activities of political parties in Nigeria.
When it comes to nomination processes, yes.
And will that pass judicial scrutiny? Bearing in mind that the courts have always held that the conduct of the affairs of a political party is an internal affair of the political party.
When you do that, it means that the political parties will have to conform with the electoral law. For instance, if it's internal affairs of the political parties, if you give a wider interpretation of that judicial empowerment or judicial decision, then it means that the political parties do not conform to INEC laws when it comes to nomination process, the days that you have to do campaign, the days that you have to submit names of people, when you have to conduct your primaries, when you have to submit it. So the political parties are already bound by the laws of the country, the INEC regulatory processes and the electoral law. And we've been conforming to it for the past 10 years, and this is what has been operating. So it's not new, absolutely.
But I will say that in this case, this is about the political party deciding who will be our candidate in an election. That should be an internal affair of the party, isn't it?
Well, it is not. It does not go into deciding it's not interfering with the processes of the powers or freedom or independence of the political parties to nominate their candidates. All it's saying is that this is the best way that you can go about it. And to be transparent, and to be open is what the law is seeking to do, not to interfere with the powers of the political parties to do that. And don't forget that once it's done, the constitution of the political parties will have to, some of them will amend their constitutions to go in line with that. In our political parties, for instance, in my political party, the People's Democratic Party, we provided for indirect primaries in our constitution, but it's being amended right now. In the APC, they have a process for consensus, for direct, for indirect, as they're giving the freedom to the executive committee at any level to choose what they want to what they want to implement, which is different from what is obtainable in the PDP. So if this amendment, if this electoral bill is passed and is amended to reflect this, then the constitution of the political parties at their conventions will have to be amended to reflect that. And it does not in no wise affect their independence.
Okay, so before I yield to Augusta, let me ask this last question. What's the possibility that, passing this law will open the, how do I put it, open a Pandora's box where a majority party in power can now pass laws that will affect smaller political parties? How does that affect our democratic system?
From my own understanding, because I saw a statement by the National Public Secretary of the PDP, where he stated the opposition to the electoral bill, and I was surprised. So from my own inquiries, I understood that the People's Democratic Party as a party had initially accepted to work with the APC on this electoral bill. For some reason, when they got to the floor, for one or two reasons, some of them decided not to, while the majority supported it. So I don't think it's a question of APC lording it over or trying to put in clauses or provisions in the Electoral Act that will ensure their advantage, numerical advantage. I don't think so. This is a question of making sure that political parties, the powers of political parties can abuse it. I've been in the party for a long time. It's been abused. It's been used rightly, but sometimes it's been used wrongly. And the only thing the National Assembly is seeking to do is to ensure that these things are being done for the interest of all Nigerians seeking positions to represent their political parties. And it should be encouraged.
Okay, Augusta, I yield for now.
Yes, I'm here. Remember that you can join this conversation simply by raising up your digital hand. I'll try to accommodate as much questions and comments in her hand. The chairman of the Senate Committee on INEC, Kabir Gaya, explained that the bill was to protect federal legislators from the governors, not to revolt against them. What is your opinion on this?
Well, I explained to you that I'll tell you from my own institutional knowledge that as of 1999, when I became a member of National Executive Committee, and in 98, when we ran the first primaries of PDP, it was direct primaries, and option A4 was used, and people were elected into legislative offices and into executive offices. And as at then, the National Assembly members or the legislators were sharing powers with the governors in their respective states. And there was no question of domination by the governors. But when the late Chief Tony Anini influenced the president, when the president was seeking the second tenure, in 2001, the power should be transferred directly, exclusively to the governors to influence all processes. PDP now rejected the direct primaries and went for the indirect primaries. And by 2002, 2003, the process of nominating people into electoral offices, more or less, have been influenced by those in executive offices, not those in legislative offices. So if the legislators are seeking an open, transparent process where ordinary party members can come and participate and do what is proper and elect. There is nothing wrong with it, absolutely. Because what is obtainable at the moment is a question where those in executives at all levels have a very, very big opportunity to influence or manipulate the process. That is the truth in terms of nominating candidates.
Okay, I can see Amina Ibrahim hand up. Amina.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Now,
go ahead.
What, in short, what I want to say is all this not just an academic exercise? Because to be honest with you, whatever it is that we are thinking of doing, or INEC is going to do, or the National Assembly is going to do, its own stories. I mean, candidates should have rights to be elected, not nominated, and that is what the parties are doing. Even though we know that is not how it's supposed to be. I mean, if there's going to be just nominations, why have primaries in the first place? But eventually you'll find that it doesn't matter who has won the primaries, it is the party eventually that nominates who's going to be. And again, why INEC? INEC, I think, as far as I'm concerned, has too much to do. INEC should be unbundled, because if INEC had been doing its work, we wouldn't even be having this conversation now, I think. We've been having this primaries since 1999, I think. And if we've still not perfected it up to now, then obviously there's a problem. And if it is working, then why fix it if it's not broke? You know, I think we really need to look at these things more pragmatically and, you know, remove all the politics from it and just look at the ordinary man that wants to have a proper election and let them have it. Because what we're doing is there is no internal party democracy. Obviously, the party decides. INEC eventually does what it wants. Those people that are going to have the benefits of all of it are exactly the people that are in the position to have the benefit now. Ordinary man would not come out of, you know, off the streets and decide, okay, I have this much to offer and I'm going to offer it and I'm going to go and the people are going to accept it and, you know, and I'll get it. They don't get it. I think the whole thing really is just another exercise in, you know, and why change it? If you're going to have, like the chief said, if it's going to be 500,000 or 1 million people, you can't influence them. Of course you can influence them. We've seen what happened in the last thing with APC. What happened is that they started counting. They will say 1, 2, 500, 2,000, you know, and that's how it went. That's how it went. And if that is the kind of thing we want to do, then obviously with 20 people or 30 people, you can have your 100 or 1 million people number, if that's what we want. I think we should really be more serious in what we want to do with this country and let people do the correct thing for the benefit of the country. Political parties, I think, should conform with the electoral laws and what INEC has as well. But if they don't do that, then obviously you don't see a difference between APC or PDP or any other party if what they're going to do is exactly what they've been doing since. So to be honest,
I mean, thank you very much. Can we allow it? You made a very, very brilliant submission. Let's allow our guests to respond, and then you may want to ask another question. Chief, go ahead, please. Thank you.
I totally agree with Amina that we should be serious about things. We should do the right thing for the benefit of the country. However, there's a contradiction in what her submission. Amina has stated that INEC should be unbundled. That INEC should be unbundled because they have a lot to do. I have, and at the same time, she has questioned that whatever happens, that the last exercise the APC did, they could count 100 people to be 2,000 people. But my submission here is that they could do that without supervision from INEC. They did that internally without INEC, and that's why they could do that. And for INEC is occupied every 4 years, except when you have all these by-elections. INEC is basically redundant except every 4 years. I think INEC should have the duties of conducting the primaries of supervising the primaries of PDPs, conducting the local government elections in every state, as well as the national elections. I think INEC should be given more duties to do. But in terms of whatever you should know that whatever laws that you have, however good they are, they're as good as the people that are implementing it. So I totally agree with you that our people should be serious about doing the right thing in this country. If we keep on abusing the best laws, there is no way we can make progress. So in that regard, I totally agree with you on that aspect.
Okay.
Let me push further on this topic, because let's call names. In the last Anambra APC primaries, the state executive said, the party said, we will have direct primaries. But at the end of the day, we saw one candidate come in at the last hour, announce the result. The state executive party raised that bill, and today here we are. I'm sure some APC members here are listening to me. So
yes, I'm listening.
Thank you very much, sir. So how do we? How does passing laws actually affect our democratic process?
Well, Daniel, it would be unfair for me to comment on the internal affairs of the APC. I read about some of those allegations, but what I can tell you is that if there was supervision by INEC, we would not have people raising such issues and cries. It happened maybe because there was no supervision. So what is the electoral bill is seeking to do is to stop such things from happening, to regulate the processes, to supervise the processes of the conduct. And as long as INEC says it was conducted well, then, we have to rely on what Amina said, that our people are serious about doing the right thing for the progress of the country. So if INEC is serious about doing the right thing for the progress of the country, then we have to rely on them in terms of their supervisory process.
Okay, August, are you there? If not, let's hear from Sir Chris Chigwell.
Yes, I'm interested.
Sir Chris, oh yeah. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay. Yes, I'm still here.
Yeah. Good afternoon, all.
I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah. Good.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Sir Chris.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Good
very
afternoon.
Well. I can hear you very well, sir.
Okay. Akajugo, Dalo. Yes, we are doing well anyway. But on this issue of what we are talking about, the topic of the day, first of all, I want to thank the host for bringing such a topic on the bill for discussion. But my own position to that is that the law passed by the National Assembly, to me, is not actually a law people can hang on. Because according to the Constitution of the country and the Electoral Act, that anything concerning the primary of any political parties is an internal affair. A political party might decide the way they're going to do their primaries, whether it will be direct or indirect. What it entails is to make sure that the primaries is within the confines of the law. What I mean confines of the law, that the people who are participating in those primaries that will be conducted by various political parties are in consonance with the provisions of the law. For instance, the people that will participate will be members of the party. The people that will conduct it will be members of the party. There must be an observers like INEC and some other agencies that might make it to look proper like a primary election. And the security operatives will be there to ensure there is peace or peaceful atmosphere during the election. I think if those things or these things that I mentioned now are there, whenever any party will conduct their primary election, I think it is in the right direction. Now, for National Assembly to go and tell political parties that they must conduct their election this way, I don't think is proper. Because, for instance, let me give an example. In Anambra State, we have 326 wards. Virtually, before the conduct of the primaries, I was in PDP. Actually, I've left PDP after the primaries. Now, assume that entire members of the political party supposed to go and conduct their direct primaries. It will be very hard for people to conduct their primaries in the 326 wards simultaneously, seamlessly, and have a result where people cannot fault. Fine, APC where I am now, they are doing it. But you know, the process has been a process which, like in 2017, they didn't direct. Now this time they did direct. And that's why some people, in as much as a candidate has emerged, but some people are still agitating that the process already gone down well with them because they are not happy with the outcome of the election. Wait, nevertheless, I'm still saying that once any party decides that this is what they want, National Assembly need to keep up there so the party can now decide on the way proper they can do the election. Party can decide that they can only elect 10 persons from each local government to come and conduct their primaries. Now, the process that elected those people that are delegates have been direct process, whereby these people elect these people, now hand the baton to the ones that will go and represent at the upper level. Then the other people will now hand the baton to the next people. So I think it's a proper thing to do. So let National Assembly keep off. Allow INEC to bring out a regulatory process whereby political parties will now conform with it and make sure that they produce a primaries that will be very, very acceptable to the members of the party and whoever they present the election, the generality of the public and the members of the political party and those who are not members of political, who are voters, will now see that this process which that political party used to bring out their candidate is very, very transparent. And people will now support whoever they want to support. That's my take on that.
Okay. Sir Chris, I hear you very well. And I thank you for what you're saying. Because what you're saying is that there is absolutely no part of the Constitution that empowers the National Assembly to regulate the process of nomination of candidates.
Yes.
That's your submission, right?
Yes.
That's your submission, but you put it differently by saying that the Constitution empowers the National Assembly to regulate exclusively. You are in the way they want. You are interpreting a judicial decision. It's a judgment that was given by Supreme Court that you're naming to be the Constitution. Because what the Constitution actually says in section 223 of the Constitution, it says the rules, the Constitution, and the rules of the political party shall, A, provide for the periodic election on a democratic basis of the principal officers and members of the executive committee or any other governing body of the political party, and B, which is what we're talking about, ensure that the members of the executive committee or other governing body of the political party reflect the federal character. Now, but under section 228, Sir Chris, the National Assembly may by law provide for the punishment of any person involved in the management or control of any political party found after due inquiry to have contravened any of the provisions that are read before 221, 225, and 227 of this Constitution. So that means that the National Assembly, you cannot say that they're excluded completely. While you can argue that they don't have any right to impose candidates on the Constitution, on the political party, you cannot say that they're completely excluded from what happens in political parties. Because what we are trying to import and what we're trying to do is to conform to the ideals as espoused by Amina, that we should get people to do the right thing. Right now, the right things are not being done. Sir Chris, when you were in PDP, you know that the right things were not being done. You are in APC. You know the right things are not being done. So what they want to do is to put a situation where things will be independently done, transparently done, and the dissent process will be imposed on all political parties to conform. If there are one or two areas that the law is a bit vague and ambiguous, let us get that law to be on the side of National Assembly so that we err on the side of caution and have this transparent and decent and independent process in all electoral matters. That's my own submission.
We thank you very much, Chief Metuh. I'm still steering your hand up. Is it the old question, or do you want to ask another one before we round up?
Hello?
Sorry. Amina, please, can you come in? Eh?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, can you come in? I forgot to mention what Sir Chris said. Sir Chris had said that it is difficult to have a process that you do a direct primaries in all the wards, in all the areas simultaneously, and you have a good result. I refer him to 1998. In 1998, the process of electing the governorship candidates of all political parties, especially my political party, PDP, was done by option A4. And it was done simultaneously and it was accepted. Now, the process of electing the National Assembly members, even the local government members, was done by direct primaries and it was option A4 and it was widely transparent. I do not think there is any nomination process that the PDP has done that you can say has been fair, independent, decent, transparent, or even better than 1998. None has equaled it. 1998 has been at best in terms of nominating people for different levels of electoral of a public service.
All right, I'm gonna come in now.
Yes, sir. I agree with Chief Metuh as far as 1998 is concerned, because to be honest with you, especially the last election, I have seen, in my view, both parties, and when I say both parties, obviously we mean APC and PDP, have done very bad by their parties and by their party members. This counting of 1, 200, 1, 500, that would not do, definitely. And I think that is what is going to happen if we do this thing. The one that PDP did, which was even worse, because as far as I'm concerned, we've seen elections, primaries where people have done transparent primaries, only for them to find out that there are people that have been given the forms elsewhere to fill out the names that they want. And PDP has done that in several places. I come from Kano, and I know that is what happened in Kano. So many people lost their primaries. Now, if INEC is going to be, or if this law that we're talking about is going to be about when a person has been seen to have transparently done with the primaries, and he can prove whichever way, by the fact of that INEC was there and all the other institutions that are supposed to be there and they have endorsed, and they can take that to court and be listened to without having to pay. Because that is what really kills the whole thing. People are, haven't been, been taken advantage of. You've gone through the primaries, you've won your primaries, and then you've spent so much money, and then all of a sudden somebody else decides this is not what the party wants. The party wants Mr. X instead of Mr. Y, and therefore you have lost everything, and you can't even go to court to challenge it. I remember very well in Kano where the chairman of Kano at that time decided he would give false forms. The forms that they gave were not the forms that were supposed to come, and eventually the forms that were supposed to come were given to the person that they wanted to give the elections to, and they filled out the names that they wanted, forgetting, and kind of dumping the other ones. Now, unless these things are going to change, and if INEC or this law is going to make that thing change, then it is welcome. But if these things are not going to change, then we're just talking about laws, and we'll still go back and do the same thing that we've been doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Can I ask you a question first?
Yes, sir.
Please, are you related to Bibi Farouk?
Yes, sir. Which one, senior or junior?
Bibi Farouk, the one that was national youth leader of PDP.
He was my junior brother. Okay. Or he is my junior brother. Yes, sir.
Okay, Bibi Farouk is one of the most cerebral minds that we've seen in the National Executive Committee of PDP.
He comes from
2001, he held the entire National Executive Committee spellbound, all in the process of trying to get the party to do the right thing, please. I can't forget it. Now, let me say something. All have sinned and fallen short of glory before God. PDP, APC, UPP, YPP, every political party. So what we want to do, like Amina said, is to create the right environment for the right thing to be done. On a personal note, I know how painful it is for people when they think they've won an election or when they think people have been influenced. There are 1 or 2 states in Nigeria today that I'm actually the most hated person in that state because they believe, rightly or wrongly, that I influenced the process of nominating their governor. But if it's direct primaries, nobody can be accused and nobody can be said to have influenced it. Even right now, even when you get the entire people, the delegate people to elect the proper person, the party officials will still be accused of either being influenced one way or the other to impose a candidate. But if it is direct primaries, there is no way, Sir Chris, that you can accuse anybody. If the election is being done in your ward, in my own ward, in every single ward simultaneously, and it's direct primaries, and the INEC is supervising it, it's like election itself. The elections in Anambra, governorship in Anambra, for the past 15 years or so, it's been very transparent. It's been very good. It's been very open. Nobody can accuse INEC of having rigged the election in the last 4 years, in 8 years ago, 12 years ago. Anybody that says that is completely deluded. The elections have been reflecting what the people voted for. So if they're supervising the party primaries, they'll get to reflect what the party people, who they want to elect them. Not by one person sitting in a state capital or being in Abuja, the party officials or the state working committee members to impose candidates. Let us do the proper thing. Let us allow this, whether the legality, whether we're working on a very thin rope or not, the most important thing is to do the right thing for the progress of our democratic process.
Okay, I can see Sir Chris Chikwelu hand is still up. Sir Chris.
Hello?
Sir
Yes.
Chris.
Hello?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can
Can
hear
you hear
you.
me?
Please go ahead.
Okay. Good day, Ugochi Debelenewi. Basically, yes, I got all what you said. But, you know, when you look at the, like, when you give an example of during the primaries of PDP in 1999-98, you know, if you check very, very well, you find at that very time, we had no former this, former that. The party was at its foundation and very nucleus level. But, you know, these days, most of those political parties is now about 20 years or 22 years plus. We've had many former this, former that. And most often, you find that during that primaries, during that direct primaries at various wards, you find that most people use that opportunity to now do a lot of things that are not supposed to be done in an electoral process. For instance, you come to a place where somebody will go and put trucks in a place where they call a ball, manipulate the register of the ward, bring in a lot of people to now vote for him that very day. But if it is a direct indirect primaries, the party members know who are their members. This process of electing maybe a 3-man delegate or 5-man delegate or 5 men from the ward are the people, they know who are their members. So it is very easy for them, get their members, and now elect these people who can now go to the next level to now elect other candidates. And at times, you also have to check the nature, the cumbersome nature of collecting it. You cannot use that of an election which government is conducting. You cannot put it as an example with an election where party as an institution is conducted. They are not the same. Like for instance now, during the election day, you will see INEC officials, see security personnel in all the polling units. But in the party election, it will not be very easy for you to have that number of security people who will be at various wards in order to monitor and make sure that this election goes successful. And that's why it is very good for ward to stay and elect people who can now represent them at the upper level. And that upper level is a place where there's coordination. It is true that we know that one way or the other, the delegates might be manipulated a bit. Like in some wards, there are people who are not grassroots politicians. During the election, they might go to their ward, lobby the chairman, they will get them as delegates. We know that those ones exist, but they are not all that much. So what I'm trying to say is that the National Assembly, in as much as they are the makers of every law, even if they want to make such law, they need to make it in a way that they will create a room where there will be a kind of public hearing. They will make the public hearing among all the political parties. Now make it in a way that various political parties will now put their own contribution to ensure that that law is a law that will favor every Tom, Dick, and Harry. It is true that those people in National Assembly were represented we're elected under the platform of various political parties, but there are just very few persons who do not wear the shoe, who do not actually know how most of other party members feel. So I'm trying to say that for them to have made that law, they would have made very good consultation, make it as a point of duty to ensure that every party member in this country, no matter the party you belong to, that there will be a thorough consultation among them and make various inputs for that law to now have a very human face in a way that it cannot be criticized. That's my own distinct to it.
Okay, Chris, I hear you, and I see where you're coming from, and I concede to the fact of public hearing and for people to make contributions. But I must tell you about what you raised on the issue of manipulating party primaries, direct primaries, about to go to Obolo and get people from Obolo to come and participate in primaries. Local in the guidelines of every electoral process, the party stipulates that 30 months, 1 month to any nomination process, the register has been closed. And besides that point, every ward, every local government know their party members, and it's basically impossible for anybody who is not a party member to come to my ward to vote. It's not possible. Now, you can cure what you are saying as well by having people move from local government, from ward to local government. So the local government headquarters of every political party can actually host the process of nomination, direct primaries for Senate, for House of Reps, Senate, and the governorship. You can handle it that way, because I tell you, having been in party administration for 17 years, what the Senate is doing should be encouraged. Direct primaries is the best for Nigeria at this time. Indirect primaries is the influence. In my political party, we're supposed to have 3,100 people to nominate Anambra State governorship of PDP. Last minute, in their wisdom, my National Working Committee members stipulated that it would be what they call super delegates, and we had only 200 people. In those 200 people, what you had was those 200 people making a whole lot of money and taking a decision for thousands of party members. Even if it was 3,000 people. Oh, hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, so but if it's direct primaries, there won't be a question of people going to court. Basically, whoever has been elected in that process maybe would have been elected in the direct primaries. Maybe it's who the people want. But then the people who are opposing him, the people who have gone to court, the people who went to court to distract him from campaigning in the past few months, would not have been able to go to court because he would have had a free rein to face his own program. So the direct primaries is absolutely the best form for Nigeria at this time, and it should be encouraged. Finally, please, for Amina, please, respects to your younger brother. I hope he's still in politics. He's one of the most brilliant minds I've seen in politics. Please, he should not leave. We should all work hard to change this process, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just before I let you go, any other thing you want to say on this topic?
Me or Mr. Daniel?
Yes, you, me, Chief Metuh. Yes, Miss.
No. I just want to thank you. I want to commend you for what you have done, because the process is not about the law; it's about the people that actually, in the people who supervise the law, people who implement the law, people who actually are the people that will make this law work, is what is most important. So it's all a mindset. For me, in my life, all I wanted to hold is National Orientation Agency. I've always wanted to head National Orientation Agency, because I think the progress, the success, the survival of this country depends on National Orientation Agency. We have to reorientate our values. We have to change our values. We have to do a lot. So let this government, let whatever government that comes in place, let our people start thinking about our values. Our value system has to change. And it is this orientation agency that can change. It's the most important agency that we have in the country at this point. It's about the mindset of our people to be prepared to do the right thing. For now, Nigerians are about to lose hope in all systems, in everything that has to do with the country. But please, let us give the country a chance that some things can happen. Having said that, my last cry, because this is the first time I've ever spoken in a long time, years, I've not said anything, is to appeal to the government of the day to please look at the regulatory agencies. Nigerians are suffering. The fact that the banks, the regulatory agencies, the government all impose all kinds of hardship, bills, levies on the people, it is too much. We have the system that we have in this country is the extended family system. We have that. And people are taking care of the extended family. They are doing their boreholes, they are doing their legislation, their roads, they are doing a lot of things. To impose all these levies, all these laws on the people, and the banks to be deducting monies at will, as if there is no supervisory body that can call them to order, it is wrong. Let the government think about the rights of the citizens. For me now, it's no more what will the people do for the country. It is now, what is the country going to do for Nigerians? What is the country doing for individuals? What is the country doing for citizens of this country? Let the government of the day think about the rights of our people. We are really suffering. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much. That is the former National Public Secretary, People's Democratic Party politician and lawyer, Chief Olisa Metuh. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And we have been discussing the legality of the National Assembly Bill compelling political parties to use direct primaries in electing their candidates. And remember that this broadcast has been brought to you by News.Band Television. And also remember to follow us on YouTube, where this program